And then you start.
Beautiful, thank you.
And then down here is where you stop it. And then you can even trim the end off if you want. And then you, right there, you can name it when you stop it, and you can also grab the link.
Beautiful. Well, thanks.
Yep. And I have to remember to record anyway. So here you go, I have it. Yep. All right, hello, Lily. Can you hear me, Lily? Just thumbs up if you can hear me. Okay, very good. All right, so you guys are checking your assignments right now. And I will answer any questions that you might have. And make sure you put your answers also into the Google form. And I don't have any way to make it warmer in here, so. I actually have gloves without fingers that I would put on right now, except for I took them out of my pockets and left them in my car. So they'd be nice and warm when I get in there. Just kidding. I get to make a video for homeroom after you're gone. Woo-hoo! All right, I have a question for somebody that is very tech-minded. Is there a way to send an email to somebody's cell phone text messages? I know from text messages you can send to your email by putting your email address in the top. At least I can do that. But is there a way to reverse that?
You can just like copy and paste the email and send it to the person.
Well, like for instance, if your parents didn't put their email address in, but they put their cell phone number in, is there a way for me to get my email to their cell phone without copying it to my cell phone first?
You can send a text with an email, I think. Like from your, but not from your phone.
Okay,
I think.
we have to work on that.
Where are the multiple choice answers?
You have to go to the Google form.
Oh.
And put them in, and then I think they release them after you put yours in. Is that true?
Yeah.
Okay. Thought I had to switch trombone. Yes, sir.
How was question 5 be?
Well, we will see, won't we? We shall see how it is be. That's because it's. I'm looking at chapter 6. Let's go back to chapter 5. That's because it's asking if the sample space for counting the number she made or didn't make, not the actual hits and misses. So if you're standing at the free throw line and your coach says, okay, you got 8. The coach is going to say, okay, well, you made 1. You made 2. Oops, you missed that one. You made 3. So you could miss all of them, or you could make all of them, or you could get anything in between. So it's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 is the sample space for counting the number that is made.
Oh, I see.
Which is B.
Okay. I don't see that was fine.
Well, that would be if you wanted, like, how can you just make 1? Like, how can you get a 0? Well, you miss. Then if you want, and that's actually a binomial situation, and we're going to talk about that Friday and next week.
Okay.
Is there anybody in here that has, like, it would be bad if I brought M&Ms into the room on Monday? Is there anybody who's not allowed to touch M&Ms? Is there anybody who can't eat M&Ms? How about you, Lily? Are you allowed to eat M&Ms? Okay, very good. Because Lily, Ryan, and Rourke are supposed to be joining us again on Monday, I am saving the somewhat more fun activity for Monday. I would like to do it on Friday because it's a good way to present what binomial is, but since they're coming back Monday, we're saving it till Monday.
Are we supposed to upload a picture of the multiple choice?
You do not need to upload a picture of the multiple choice because I will collect that multiple choice packet next week when we're finished with it. And I have new pens just waiting for their flowers. And next week we will get our little cups. So you won't have to ever share a pen again if you don't want to. Alrighty. So does anybody have any questions at all on the Santa or the reindeer? And does anybody want me to explain my thought process? That's what I think perhaps maybe a lot of other subject areas don't understand. Like for you just to look at how to do a math problem, you kind of need to see the flow and the start and end and beginning and stuff, which makes videos important. Does anybody want me to go through how I did that? Okay.
Oh, no, it was just a question on, like, for page 6, like number 6, when you need to prove if they're independent.
Yes, you can do any of those ways,
you
because
don't
it's
need
set
all-
up for all three, the questions up above, so just pick one. But you have to have those words in there.
Got it.
So yeah, before you upload your worksheets, make sure you have the sentences proper with the event twice sentences, and also a little bit of words for if disjoint, this would equal 0. But yeah, I just did all three because I didn't know which people would choose.
Got it.
But you never need to do that unless the directions specifically ask.
Okay.
And I just made an Amazon purchase for anybody that has slippage problems with their masks. I bought 300 of these little bad boys. Because these things are actually quite amazing. If anybody has trouble keeping their mask up, what you do is you take off the adhesive. I'm not supposed to talk without my mask on. So you adhesive it right into your mask, and it will last for 2 or 3 washings. So I'm going to have a full supply here. Does anybody want to try one? You guys that have the disposable masks have those in them. But it's really nice, especially if you have glasses. Anybody?
I just take one. One of my class can't keep their mask out. And so I think that'd be a nice gift.
Yeah, to get that to get the adhesive off, you kind of just, you gotta like go with your fingernail at the top and just like to get that thing started like that.
Yeah.
So, but I'm going to purchase a lot of them, and if anybody ever wants a filter, these are good for 5 wearings. So what I do is I take my mask off and hang it above our utility room sink. And then before I put them in the washing machine, I take all these filters out. And then at the end of the month, I ditch the filters and add new ones. I just got Ohio State material, so I will be making the Ohio State masks. But see, even like this mask, put one of those in there. It really helps the fog problem if you wear glasses. I will be kind of happy to get rid of my masks someday. However, I kind of think, and I shouldn't even say this out loud because somebody will be listening. I really haven't had a bad cold for quite a while. Must be my homemade kombucha that I keep brewing. What? But I think in the future, like if I felt like I did have a cold, I might wear one so it wouldn't infect you all with my cold. Yes, sir. Yep. This one?
Yeah.
Am I sharing the screen with you, Lily?
Yeah, you're good. I got it.
Okay. Make sure you yell at me if I'm not. Well, nicely, reprimand. Don't tell me I'm not a gentleman, I might have to leave. Or something like that. Or a gentlewoman. Now, what is that called? A lady. Okay. Did you get your question answered, Tyler? All right. Anybody have any questions on these worksheets? At all? Nobody wants to see how I actually got that then. You all know how to figure that out if I give you the 0.2 instead of the 0.32. Excellent. So now let's go look at the form. The form. Doo, 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 doo. Okay, here's the form. And the form responses, I got 52, that's good. A lot of people got a 5 or above, and 2 people got them all right today. Oh, somebody got a 0. We're not going to go find out who that is right now, but I have the power to find out who that is if I wish. Questions most missed were 1, 5, and 8. And then I can zoom past everybody's individual results. And we can see that a lot of people thought the answer to 1 was B. And it could be the answer B if you take out 2 letters. That was a trick question, 1A. 2 looks great. 3 looks pretty good. 4, 5, not so good. 6 is pretty good. 7's not bad. And 8 could be worse, but okay. So we have 1, 5, and 8, and maybe 4 if somebody wants it. All right, so here we go. 1. If I take a coin, I think the coin's over by Adam. It's hiding in my cart. That I would still have up on me, except for that space. All right, here we go. So this is an old $20. There used to be $20 coins, so this is a replica. It's not worth $20. I just bought it at the Bureau of Engraving when I was down there. So, what's the probability that I flip it and it heads? 0.5, right? So it's not any number between 0 and 1. It's actually a particular number. Oh. Next time I flip it, it's still going to be 0.5, right? It doesn't waver. So if I took off the N and the Y, now B is the correct answer. But with the word any there, it kind of makes it sound like it can flip back and forth. Understood, sort of?
Understood.
Okay, and so part D is like if you do it over and over again. If I were to roll this big die over and over again, what's the probability it comes up a 4? Whoops. Oh, look at that. I need to go play the lottery or something. Oh, it's too late. Somebody already won.
Want to just pick it back?
Yeah, that's fine. I don't know how anybody in the hub design learning thing right now with oh my gosh. Yeah, thank you. Malchus and it's all Novak. Anybody take that class right now? I am so wanting somebody to make me a trick die that has the numbers 1 through 6 on it, but like when you build it, you don't fill it completely, like you leave part like over here hollow and so it wouldn't roll equally. You guys know Anybody know Evan Measures?
Yeah.
He made me this. It's a stamp to make a normal curve. And it really works. And it even has the little hash marks down on the x-axis. And I even used to have, I used to have, I used to have big stamp pads, but I think I gave them to Connie Kramer. Because she actually, Santa brings me like weird stuff for Christmas. Has anybody ever seen the graph paper that you can make yourself in Connie Kramer's room with these big stamps? That's actually something Santa brought me, so. Now I have to get rid of this. This makes me sad. Didn't he just get traded like a month ago? And then, everybody knows where this is from, right?
Yeah.
Yep. This used to be my hall pass back in the other building. We moved here in 2006. I coached track back in the day, and then I had kids, and then I didn't coach track. Then I have some Buckeye stuff. I'll have to get those from Connie because it's pretty cool. You can make your little stamps. So I keep it right here so I know where it is. No. All right. Okay, so 5 is next, right? And you may have heard me talking to Mr. Yost. It says sample space for counting. So if you're standing at the line and you're shooting at the hoop over here, I'm not an artist, remember? Oh, that's terrible. So you're standing here, shooting your basketball, and you have 8 tries. And every time you miss, you make your team do the Trojan sprints, or what do you guys call them? Bomber sprints, where you have to run to the line back, halfway back. Suicides? Ladders? Okay. Well, you can either miss all of them, or maybe you make 1 out of 8, or maybe you make 2 out of 8, or 3 out of 8, or 4 out of 8, or 5 out of 8, or 6 out of 8, or 7 out of 8, or you make them all. So that is the sample space for counting. The actual sample space for all the sequences is huge. Huge! Because think of all the ways you can, how many different sample spaces are there for making one of them? 8, right? Because you could make, miss, or you could hit it and miss all the rest. You could hit the second one, you could only hit the third one, you could only make the fourth one. We're going to be talking about that stuff when we get to chapter 6, because that's binomial, and we have to really understand binomial before we go to sample spaces and before we start inference, because it's like the basis of half of inference. All right, and then number 8. All right, Lily, you're going to have to do this with us. I am going to go through number 8 fairly carefully because it's either been a while, or if you didn't have me for your honor stat teacher, I am a little bit picky-dicky about how I want you to do normal curve problems. And you say, yes, but this is a multiple choice problem. And I say, yes, but it's not a test, it's your homework, and it was a circled problem, my friend. And the reason it's circled is because I want you to show work. So that, I think it was circled, yeah, it was circled, I opened up the 6s. Because how do I know that you didn't just go through and circle things to get your credit for homework? Like, multiple choice is kind of a big deal for AP stats tests. So, it says, normal distribution with a mean of 100, so we put n there, 100, 15, that always goes in the upper left. Hey, Miss Connie Kramer, do you have those stamps?
I have your stamp.
The graph stamps?
Of course I have your stamp.
With the ink pad.
I do.
I would like to borrow one of my ink pads back, but I think they might like to see this stamps.
Oh my gosh, it's great fun. It's so retro, 1982, 92, 2002.
Yep.
Very retro. Do you need it now?
Sometime this period maybe.
I'll bring it over. Thank you. I'm gonna go get these. We're washing shields today for our brain break. Are you jealous?
I think they're terribly jealous.
I know.
All right. And I do want you to put all the Z values in. Because to me, that's like, that's like the English. No, that's like the French or, it's kind of like a different language. It's a Z language. And then the X is the raw scores, which in our case is 100, 115. Do you guys all have the norm disk program still in your calculator somewhere? And if you don't, I will be sending you a group called AP Stat. And when you ungroup it, it gives you like 7 or 8 programs that we use in this class. All right, 85, 70, 55. I assume everybody knows what I'm doing so far, because if you don't, you kind of need to like sprint to guidance and get out of here. Because we did this a lot. Okay, so now it's saying the probability that you're greater than 120. Well, that's where 120 would be, and hopefully we all know that greater than goes this way. And now, those who are in my class know what to do. Those who were in Ms. Bogger's class, I think you saw the AP Stats guy stuff the acorns into the chipmunk's mouth. And then he'd go empirical roll, and you guys are supposed to go mean 68, 95, 99.7. Whew.
Yeah.
All right, so we're going to try that, and if it's not enthusiastic, then we have to stand up and do it twice.
So scared, I don't know if I can put in that kind of energy today.
Well, you might be doing it 3 times there.
Oh.
So, I say empirical roll. And you clap and say mean. And then you say 68. And then you say 95. And then you say 99.7. And then we say, whoo. And it's, whoo. It's not, huh? All right, ready? Empirical roll.
68, 95, 99.57. Oh!
Whew, that was the best so far today, but it can get better. You guys can do it. Fabulous job. Ready? Is Lily doing this? I'm watching you. You are on my big screen, but not to them, just to me. All right, so you better be doing this. Here we go. Ready? Empirical roll. 68,
99,
99.7.
Oh!
And it's supposed to be like a bodybuilder, whoo, not like a whoo. This guy at Hudson used to be actually a bodybuilder. And so whenever he taught the foil method, he'd like do like FOIL, because he had really good muscles.
Yeah.
All right, since we have done that, and the reason we just did that cheer is because that should tell you that, hey, if I go up like this is 0.68. So if I had $1, but I spent 68 cents, I now have 32 cents, but I have to flip and split that because I have 2 tails. So each tail is 16, yes, 0.16, 0.16. And this, my friends, is a little bit that way of the 0.16, so that green striped area has to be
Less.
then 0.16.
Yeah.
So I come up here and I say, nope, nope, nope. Oh, must be the right answer, done.
Let's go.
And that's what they're hoping you'll be able to do when you take the test that day. That a lot of them you actually, and when you're taking the AP test, I don't really care if you actually do this on May 13th. I wouldn't. And if you're taking my test, I will tell you if I want you to show work for multiple choice, if you're taking a test for me. Because usually that is not the case. And Rachel had a question.
Oh, I was just gonna say, do you want us to write like the 0.16 and the 0.68?
No, I just did that so you could hear what I was thinking. So you could see what I was thinking. All right? Any other questions on multiple choice? 2, 3, 4, 6, 7.
Me.
Any? Going once. Gone. Okay. You do not have to take new pictures of that. You just need to upload the 2 worksheets. Alrighty. So we are now going to do a tree diagram. I am a bit behind in checking your homework, but that will get taken care of. I got one of my letters of recommendation done last night. I have one more to go.
Let's go. Wait, what did they do today? They said Wednesday.
They're actually, the one I have left is not due till next week, but I want to get it done because it'll hang over my head like.
It's kind of sweaty.
Because they're not my favorite thing to do, but I try to do a really awesome job on them. And this is for a scholarship. And the person asked me, like one of the first people last fall, and then they told me, oh, kidding, I don't really need it to get into school. And I was like, thank you, thank you, thank you. And then they asked me a month ago, but I need it for a scholarship, could you still do it? And I'm like, yep, I would do that. I can't say no if you've been a really good student for me. But doesn't mean it's my favorite thing. And it's one of those things that, like, actually sitting down and doing it is not as bad as me worrying about getting it done. Okay, assume that 75% of honor stat students studied for a test. 40 of those who studied got an A, and 10%, lucky dogs, who didn't study got an A. Smarty pants. It's no fair that God gave us different brains. Not fair at all. What is the probability that somebody who actually got an A studied for the test? So someone who gets an A, you are actually knowing that they studied for the test. I would like you to try to do this without making a tree. Can you come up with the right probability? Can you come up with, you get an A given that you studied. And I'll come around and see if anybody gets it right. Because if all you get it right, then I don't really need to teach this lesson today. So far, I have to tell you that nobody has gotten it right at all in the first 2 classes. You can do some multiplications and stuff. I don't want you to form in a tree, though. The whole point is to show you that sometimes we need the tree. Anybody think they might have an answer? Close. Nope. 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 you used to be able to get an app for your phone that acted like a Texas Instrument calculator.
Did it cost you anything?
It's called Wabbit. I have it on my phone. Looks just like the Texas Instrument TI-83s. I think I still have it. But I don't know that you can get it anymore. Oh no, where is it? Did it go away? There it is. See? And it works.
Wait, did you say it?
I don't know. WABBIT. Here. WABBIT.
I don't think they have it on the App Store.
Not that I'm promoting you using your, well, I'd rather have you use your phone for that. Okay. The answer is?
0.92.
Nope, 0.4. All right, so let's go figure out how to do this. All right, you can draw the tree on page 8 or on page 9. It doesn't matter. I gave you lots of space. You can pick. So the first thing you always have to do for a tree is make sure you have everyone. So I'm going to call this all honor stat students. And the key is knowing which number to put on the first branch out. So I'm going to put S for people who studied and S to the C power for people who studied not, meaning you did not study. And it tells me that 0.75% or 75% of people studied and 0.25 did not study. Then we go to the second branch. If you studied, you either got an A or you got an A naught. And how many of the people who studied got an A? 40. So this is 0.4. So how many of the people who studied did not get an A? 0.6. That's the other thing you have to remember, is that these branches should always add up to 1. So then down here, if you didn't study, you might have been a smarty pants. So this is A and A naught down here. So this is 10% of the people who didn't study got an A, which means 90% did not get an A. Now before we go on, let me do a little sidebar. On your pink or purple piece of paper, you have something that is called the general multiplication formula, I think it is. Right here, I got it. General multiplication rule. And that's what we use to do a tree. The probability of A times the probability of B given A is equal to the probability of A and B. And this rule works even if you're independent, because what is the probability of B given A if A and B are independent? The probability of B given A is equal to the probability of what if we have independence? B. So can I come up here, take that out, and put the probability of B in there? And that's how we get the multiplication for independent events rule. So you got to be careful. Ready? If you're independent, it's the first letter that matters. But if you're using the multiplication rule, you have to multiply by, it's the second letter that's all by itself. So I know that can get confusing. I get that. So I would like for you, at least on this one, to put the notation on the tree, but in the future, you don't have to put the notation on the tree. So this is the probability that you studied. This is the probability that you got an A given that you studied. This is a probability you didn't study. And this is the probability that you did not get an A given that you didn't study. This is the probability that you got an A given that you didn't study. And this is the probability that you did not get an A given that you studied. What I do want to see in your homework tonight, I don't have to see all those notations, but I do want to see the notation for the result of you multiplying each branch. This is a probability that you studied and you got an A, which is going to be 0.75 times 0.4. The next branch is you studied and you did not get an A. So this notation I want to see, 0.75 times 0.6. Down here, we have probability that you did not study, but lucky duck, you got an A. And that's 0.25 times 0.10. And I happen to know what that is. It's 0.025. That one was an easy one for me. And the last one is a probability that you didn't study and you didn't get an A, which is 0.25 times 0.9. So I have 3 more products that I need to know. So I'll be choosing 3 randomly selected popsicle sticks shortly. All right. 0.75 times 0.4. I have selected Adam. What did you get for that? 0.3. Studied, but you didn't get an A, Mr. Nelson.
0.45.
0.45. And finally, you didn't study and you didn't get an A. Lily, what's that? The last one.
0.225.
Yep. And guess what? Not only is it each little branch that adds up to 1, those 4 final answers better add up to 1, and I believe they do. Now, I just changed the way I teach this a year and a half ago when I went to the AP workshop that they hold at Rocky River. And the lady there said, sometimes you got to make a tree. You guys have, when you're doing a probability problem, you guys have all the rules on this sheet of paper at your disposal. You also have Venn diagrams and tables, and your last tool out of the bag should be a tree diagram. If you can't do it any other way, try a tree. But then take the answers from the tree and put them into a table. So that's why we have the table right here. Because you guys are awesome at tables and answering the questions if it's in the form of a table. So I want you to be able to do that. And those 4 numbers at the end of your tree happen to be the 4 numbers that make up the inside of your table, because those are the and spots. So this is at the bottom of page 9. So Adam found this answer for us. You studied and you got an A. That was what? 0.4, right?
0.3.
0.3. 0.3? 0.3. That's 0.3. I would like to tell you, I was just trying to see if you were paying attention, but that would kind of be a lie, so. I have to glue this together or something. It's done this my whole career. You'd think I'd get tired of it. They're supposed to get me a new smart board next year, because this bad boy is dying. I gotta tell you, if I find out they're not buying me a new one, I'm starting to go GoFundMe. I'm totally serious. You think I'm not? I'm serious, because this guy. All right, so this is point 3. All right, you studied but you didn't get an A. Those are the people that Mrs. Garrett feels bad for, especially if you've been doing your homework the whole time. And I would invite you right now, I give you a personal invitation to come in a couple times before you take the test and get some extra help, and I can make sure you're ready. So that is 0.45. And look at this. 0.3 plus 0.45 is 0.75. And that's the probability you studied, and they gave us that at the beginning of the question. Okay, how many are the lucky ones? You didn't study, but you got an A. We're not lucky, Mrs. Garrett. We're just highly intelligent.
Yeah.
Okay, 0.025. And then you didn't study, and you kind of got what you put into it. 225. And those two add together to be 0.25. And 75 and 25 add up to 1. So how many people got an A? 3.25. And how many people didn't get an A? 0.625. And guess what those two add up to be? 1. Oh yeah.
Isn't it 0.67?
Yep.
That was a
It's 0.675. You're right. Also, again, just a mistake. All right. So now let's answer the questions. We know how to answer these lickety-split. The probability that you got an A given that you studied. Well, how many people studied? 0.75. And how many people those got an A? 0.3. And when you divide, you get 0.4. We kind of knew that from the tree if we knew the right place to look, Mrs. Garrett. Yeah, you kind of did. Now, what do you think the answer is to this one? People who got an A given that they studied, and people who didn't get an A given that they studied, those should always add up to 1 because they're complements. So let's see if that's true. What is 0.45 divided by 0.75? It better be 0.6. Is it? All right. And then the next two questions, you just pick them off the table. Studied an A, that's 0.3. Not studied and not an A, that's 0.225, and you are done with the tree. Alrighty. The next one I'm going to let you do by yourself, well, with each other, sort of. But before you do that, because usually the trees are used for false positives and false negatives and medical tests and stuff, I want to make sure you know a couple of things. So we already checked out that everybody can have M&Ms, and I can have them in the classroom, so that's nice. I don't know if you know about these places on the classroom or not. On the Google Classroom, let's just start from the beginning. We're in the stream. We go to the classwork tab. Under the communication title, the first post is always going to be the calendar, which is now up to date for the rest of this week. And I'll try to put next week's in before Friday. Once we're not reviewing anymore, which will be really kind of after this Friday, I'll be able to put like a whole chapter in at a time because I'll have a better idea of what's going on. So tonight you have those 3 pages out of your packet and you have the B's in chapter 5. All right. Also under this communication title, is, I don't know, I didn't mean to do that. Let's go back to here. Down here, what I wish my teacher knew, and I'm gonna put that up higher. And this is a link that you can put your name in if you want to. Most of the time you should. I wish my teacher knew that my family's really going through a rough time right now, and I'm just very overwhelmed. And I know we have the test on Friday. Can we talk? Like, I'm actually pretty compassionate and pretty fair if I know about things ahead of time. I had to take off the anonymous part last semester. I have to change that to AP staff teacher because somebody just kept using it to vent, like, oh, I am so swamped this week. I really can't believe you're giving us a quiz on Thursday. Well, like, okay, but tell me who you are so I can talk to you and see what we can work out. And I begged people, anyway. When would you want to do it anonymous? Well, when Rachel realizes that Delaney is always getting an A because of the cheat sheet in her calculator, and it's kind of frustrating Rachel, she can anonymously say, hey, I think Delaney has a cheat sheet in her calculator. You might want to check it out. Or if Rachel knows that Delaney's going through a really rough time right now, but she knows that Delaney's not the type of person that's really going to tell me, she might want to say, hey, heads up, Delaney's family's going through a really rough time right now. It wasn't me. I didn't tell you. No, I don't know who it is because you didn't tell me. Or last year, almost a year ago, when I was having a rough week right before the world shut down because my mom was in hospice and passing away, a couple students said, we just want you to know that we're praying for you and hang in there. And that was really sweet. But most of the time, if I'm going to help you, I got to know who you are. And if it's before we sit down to take the test, I'm much more compassionate. Like, even if it's like that morning, like, oh my gosh, I was in a car accident this morning, and I know it's not a really big deal because I didn't get hurt, and my car isn't really smashed, but oh my gosh, I am so stressed. You can send me a note and we'll figure it out, and I can be very discreet about it. So that's what that's there for. Now, the reason I said that is because for the next few weeks and during inference, we talk about a lot of different types of diseases and viruses and medical conditions. And if you have a loved one or a family, friend, neighbor, grandma, grandpa going through something right now, like for instance, I had Brad Toth, older brother of Sarah, and what's the middle one? Will. I had him in class, and I was about to give the probability test, and on the probability test was a particular question about a certain type of cancer, and I knew somebody very close to him and his family was going through that exact situation, and I changed the question. Because there's no reason that you have to be extra stressed and upset by a statistics question, so just let me know. I mean, it is real life statistics to be talking about these different things. Like the one you're going to do right now is for HIV, but they changed the numbers. So just let me know, and I can provide many, many alternative questions. You just got to let me know so you don't have to do something that will be upsetting. All right? Okay. So for this next one, this, by the way, is the rule we're using right here, and you can see how it comes from conditional probability. Just bring the denominator over and boom, there you have it. All right? So take a look at page 10. And what I would like you to do right now is I would like you to put in this tree. And put the numbers on it and put the letters. We're going to use A for you have the antibodies and P as a positive test result. The big thing you have to decide right now are the A's or the P's the first thing to put on the branches? And think about what is in common for all people. You gotta start with all people. But put the letters and the numbers on and then stand up out of your seat and go walk to a neighbor or friend or frenemy or just somebody that's in class and say, hey, here's my tree diagram. Did you get this? And then if you both got it, probably it's right, and you can finish the problem. And if somebody would come share with Lily, you can actually see her right here, pretty big, and she can hold up her paper and you can be like, yeah, that's what I got too. And even though the microphone's over here, she can hear it pretty well. Remember to stand up and find a friend to check with. Like I really do want you to stand up and move. Oh, she did drop those off and I wasn't even paying attention. All right, Philip has his tree drawn. So Philip, let's be the first ones. Who do you want to go check with? That person you don't know so well?
What Harry? It's actually Henry. Oh, okay.
All right, well, walk over and see him, and then it will give permission for everybody else to like get up and check. I'm gonna check. You can check with. Yep. You can check with more than one person.
That's, I think one of these.
Did you
It's
finish
Okay.
So.
Yeah, but that has to be muted. It's not muted over there. If you unmute that, it will go whoop, whoop, whoop,
Oh,
whoop.
can you hear me?
Yeah, you can hear us, right? That picks up like that.
Oh.
It's right here,
Oh.
but it picks up from over here.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay, well,
All right, Adam, how'd you
I
do?
was like, oh, wait, do you want me to show you?
I might have got that wrong.
All right, you actually want to start off with the
No.
Wait, there's no blur.
Let's start off with.
You know what she said? She
Wait,
said
what
you
were
wanna
your
start
thoughts?
with
I had, well, can you hear me? Okay, I started with all people, and then I branched out with, had antibodies and doesn't have antibodies. And then I did 0.10 for antibodies and 0.9 for not antibodies. And then off of those I have positive and not positive. And then I have 0.8 for antibodies and positive, and 0.2 for antibodies and not positive. And then 0.3 for not antibodies and positive, and 0.7 for not antibodies and not positive.
What did you get?
Yes, and then the 80 and 20 going.
I guess we.
Scared, did I do this one right?
I will tell you in a second.
Wrong
I
side.
think we had switched.
A diagnostic
I had
test
switched one for the last one.
for 80%. Actually,
I did.
Like, ours are opposite, what?
so do you have the 90 up here and the 10 down there?
No, like she had the 30%.
So, yeah, 30% don't really have it until they do. So that's what this means. It also gives a false positive. So,
Oh,
it's on 30% of the people who don't have it. And this is gonna be the 0.7.
Okay, well, you did it right.
Oh, Lily!
Hi, Lily.
All right.
Okay, so if I could have your attention for just one thing about these diseases. The top row we call a true positive. The guy upstairs knows you have it, and the test that the doctor gives you says you have it. All right? That is called a what? True positive. And that would be the probability that you have the antibodies in your bloodstream and you test positive, and that's going to be 0.10 or 0.1 times 0.8, and that is going to be 0.08. All right, what would this be? You have the disease, but the test comes back from the doctor and says, you're okay. That's called a what? False negative. So that would be the probability that you have the disease and the test is positive not, which means negative. And that is 0.02. And that adds up to the 10% back on here, right? So you can be constantly double checking yourself. You don't have the disease, and God knows you don't, or whoever your God is, the guy upstairs or the girl upstairs or the power that bees, knows that you don't have it in your body, but you go to the doctor and the test comes back and says, oh, like the Peters family is facing right now, you have it, and Geauga County of Ohio is one of the most conservative counties probably in the country. If you get a positive test, they don't care if it's false positive or a real positive. 2 weeks, quarantine. All right, so this is called a false what? Positive. And the probability of that is you don't have the disease and they tell you you do. And that's going to be 0.9 times 0.3, which is 0.27. And finally, this would be a true negative. Sorry, had a brain freeze for just a moment. That means you don't have it, and the test comes back and says, yep, you don't have it. There have been marriages ended over false positives. I read about one once. The wife came home and had tested positive for something and blamed her husband, and the husband said, it ain't me, it must be you. And she said, it ain't me, it must be you. And they didn't trust each other anymore, so they got divorced. And then the next time she went to that same doctor, she says, you know, this caused a big argument, and my husband and I got divorced. He said, oh, it kind of has a high false positive rate. You should have come back for a second test. But by that time, it was a little too late. They didn't trust each other anymore. So, why is it a good thing or is it a bad thing? Because sometimes it's a bad thing. In this case, the false negative rate is pretty tiny and the false positive rate is pretty big. Much like the COVID test that we have going on right now. Why is that an important distinction? Why is it good that it's that way and not the other way? Marcus?
But they'd rather not have people who are actually safe going out into public space.
Yeah. You would rather stress somebody out for a couple weeks and make them quarantine, or think of it as a test for cancer. That's happened to me. My mammograms have come back with they call it a suspicious shadow. You'll have to sign up for a second mammogram. AKA, maybe there's some tumor in there and we gotta check it out. But they don't say it like that. They try to be very, calm about it. So then it stresses the individual out quite a bit if you let it get to you. Especially when you have your first mammogram on the day that your first cousin finds out they have to have a double biopsy. Or a double, what's that called? No. Double, what's it called? Double mastectomy? Yeah, she had major breast cancer and she had to go in. And that was the same day I got my very first mammogram test back. Like, that was 15 years ago, but still. So that stressed me out a little bit. But it's better to scare you for a week than to miss you for a year. Does that make sense? We don't want to we don't want to miss a disease that you might have. So they make the test err on the side of caution. Not too many people are missed, but a lot of people get scared for a little bit. And so that's why usually for diseases, the false positive rate is much higher than the false negative rate. And you kind of want it that way, unless you happen to be one of the pleasant false negatives, or false positives, I guess. Like the Peters are not very happy right now for these last 2 weeks. It's been a bit inconvenient, but it will all be over in a couple of days. All right, go ahead and finish. I don't care if you do the Venn or not, but definitely do the table and then answer the questions. And always remember, you should check to make sure this adds up to 1, but I believe it does. Because that adds up to 90 and then the top is 10. And this, I think, was actually an AP question one year, but it didn't have the table and stuff. It just had the final question, what's the probability that you're really infected with AIDS if you get a positive test result back? So that's what I have for my table and my Venn. And then you can answer those 6 questions. I have it here somewhere. It's not in there. Is this yours? No. I thought it was something from this morning. Forget it. All right, and here's the answers that I got. So again, I think we can see that if you have a test, the chance that if your test comes back positive for AIDS, the chance that you actually have AIDS is only about 23%. If your test comes back negative, there's a 97% chance that you really don't have it. 77% chance that you don't have it if you got a positive test. And there's only a 3% chance that they will miss the fact that you have the disease. So that's a pretty high false positive. All right. So for homework tonight, you have this one about college final exams. It's on one page, page 12. It doesn't ask you to do a Venn. You don't have to do a Venn. And then we skip to page 14 and 15. And this is the one about ovarian cancer. So you gotta let me know if you prefer something else to think about. And the questions on page 15 are more on the line of, like, is this a true positive or true negative or something like that. And then you also have the B's to do. And I think they're already circled which ones you need to show work for. Which is a lot of them, Mrs. Garrett. Yep. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 out of 9, over 50%. All right, I want to give you back the chemicals and pottery. Let me put this back up to where the assignment list is. But we're going to play a game first. And it's the 4 corners game, which means you're going to stand up and you're going to walk to one of the 4 corners of the room. And when there's only 3 people left, they get to choose. I gotta get some new fresh candy. Because right now I'm down to cinnamon, spearmint, and I do still have a few Tootsie Pops, and these are awesome with peppermint Tootsie Pop. If you like chocolate and mint together. I have more, and so poor Lily doesn't get a mint. Hey Lily, I was having trouble finding where you uploaded your pottery and box plot thing, this thing. Did you email that to me? Your solution?
I either emailed it or texted it to you. I don't remember.
Oh, I bet you texted it to me. Because I couldn't find it in the email. I bet you texted it to me. I will check that right now.
Alright, I'll check my email, because I did one of them, so I'll find it.
No, I found a couple things on email. I'll get this. Oops, not if I search for Luli. There we go. I don't know, maybe you didn't send it to me. If you could
I
send it
can
to me.
resend it. I don't know where it went.
Yeah, just resend it to me. You can just send it, you can text it. Okay, everybody up? All right, I'm gonna close my eyes and ears. Back there where Jimmy is standing, there's a green strip of paper. Behind Henry is a yellow. Here is blue, because it's my favorite color, so I had to put it beside me. And red's over here. So I'm just gonna go 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and I'm gonna say a color. All right? And you try not to be at the color I say. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blue. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blue again.
Wow.
Oh.
All right. I knew she was gonna say that. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, green.
Can't believe you said.
All right. How many do we have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Ooh. Gotta get rid of 2 of you. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, yellow. There's only 3 left. All right, you guys get to choose. You don't have to take one. I just, and we'll play one more time. So get up out of your seats. And we might have time for the horse races after I show you your results from the other. Okay, ready? Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, red.
Oh, you gotta be kidding me.
I ran over to her. I was running over.
I wasn't listening. That's why I plugged my ears. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, green. All right, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, blue. Yep, I'm cheating. I'm looking for you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of you. Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yellow. I was forgetting what color was back there. Ooh, only got 1 of you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yellow again. Oh,
Hey, hey.
don't be hurting his
Not nice.
screen.
Hey, you got this. There's a huge
Look at
crack
that.
in it now.
Oh, no.
You just broke.
I'll give you
Okay, here we go. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Yellow again. Oh, still 4 of you. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Red. Oh, you guys are good because I was like, you're parking out there. I'm gonna get 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Green. All right. So you and you, right?
Yeah.
Go ahead. So what do we want? Do we want chocolates? Do we want fruity stuff? What kind of Valentine's Day seasonal candy do you want me to fill the coffer with? Peanut M&Ms. What? That is like my least favorite kind of candy.
Caramel M&Ms.
Yeah. Fudge brownie M&M.
No.
No. Do we want stuff other than chocolate? Somebody somewhere during my day is lactose intolerant.
Sour Patch.
Sour Patch? We can do Sour Patch. Okay, so I am now going to give you back the results of question 4, 2017, pottery, sites, and chemicals. Oh my! Lions and tigers and bears. sites and chemicals and pottery, box plots. All right, so most of you did very well on the first part. And by the way, you get to keep these now. You can keep these. Come on. The scoring for this is as follows. I scored it on the rubric. Nobody got a 0, so that's good. A 4 gives you 20 out of 20. A 3 gives you 18 out of 20. A 2 gives you 15 out of 20. I talked to my husband, I know, I showed you before, I said 16 the other day, but I changed my mind after he explained why they choose that. And then a 1 gives you 13 out of 20. All right. A lot of people were in this range. There is only one team the whole day that got a 4 out of 4, I think. And that's because they did part 2 correctly. So for the first part, in case you didn't remember this, hang on, I'll get there. It asked you to explain how they're similar and how they're different. How are all 3 sites with chemical Z, how are they all the same? Well, they all have the same median around 7 milligrams. And that's all you had to say. All 3 sites had basically the same median at approximately 7% of total weight. But they also had box plots that were symmetric, perfectly symmetric. So I would have included that, even though technically by their rubric you didn't have to. How are these all different? What's different about all those box plots? They all have different spreads or ranges. All the ranges were different. And then you could have said, and you should have said, the smallest range was at site 2 with a range of 8 minus 6 or 2%. The next smallest, or you could say the next largest, was a range of 6 by finding 10 minus 4, and the biggest range was about 13 minus 3 or 10%. And almost everybody got an E on that. Yay, you. Then it said, a piece of pottery has to come from one of these sites. Would you pick chemical X, Y, or Z to try to determine which site it came from? Well, most of you picked no. Oh, that's not. What does it say? Let me tell you what it says. Consider a piece of pottery. Suppose analysis reveals that the 3 sums of the percents add up to 20.5. This is where almost everybody the whole day got a P on this. You can't go after the medians. You have to go after adding up the minimums, and adding up the maximums. If you add up the minimums at site 1, the sums are between 20 to 33 is the maximum. That's way too much for a sum of 20.5 because even the minimum's too high. If you go to site 2, it adds from 12.9 to 19. Those are all way too low to be able to add up to 20.5. But site 3 gives you 14 to 25.5, and 20 is right in the middle of that. So you really have to look at the highs and the lows, not the medians. And if that doesn't register with you, like why? Then I'll be happy to talk to you more about it, but not right now. And then for the last question, it says, which chemical would you choose to analyze if you could only choose one of them to try to figure out which site it came from? And if you look at all of these, pretty much I think everybody made the right choice. Everybody said chemical Y. All you had to say was because none of Y, chemical Y has 3 box plots and none of them have overlapping values. The box plots do not overlap at all. And they actually give a list of all the things you can say here. This is acceptable. If you choose Y, then it's an automatic P, almost. If you choose X or Z, you're sunk, you get an I. But if you choose Y, this is what's acceptable to give you an E. The box plots for chemical Y do not overlap, or the box plots for chemical X and Z overlap, and so that's why I'm going to choose Y. All values of site 1 are high, all values of site 2 are low for chemical Y, and all values of site 3 are in the middle. The ranges never intersect. The box plots share no data. Chemical Y has completely different percentages at each site. If you said the following, you only get a P. The box plots vary. Chemical Y varies the most. Chemical Y has the greatest variation. The variation between or among the sites is the largest for chemical Y. The box plots are different. Oh, yay you. The box plots are different, but how are they different? Because they don't overlap. So, if you take the paper clip off, you can see what I graded, and in that order, you keep the order, and then you can ask me a question, and if you have no questions, you can take this and put it back in your binder. So people who were in Henry's group, people who were in Hannah's group, Adam's group, Rachel's group, Jimmy's group. And who had Lily? We did. Can you tell her what you guys got and tell her I'll take a look at hers in a minute?
I saw those on the back. Of course it's not. No, you're fine.
So you guys can separate those and take them with you if you want, and jot down some notes if you want, or if you don't understand what I took off for, you can ask. If anybody has any questions on how I awarded credit, let me know. And Lily, they're coming to tell you guys what you got. Yeah, I'll take the paper clip back, thank you. Partially correct. Yeah.
We got like we should have gotten more. You should give us like a 15%. That should be the 16. That should be where the 16.
I'm scared she's not answering.
50%. And I gave you 75%. I gave you 25%.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Lily. She's here to tell you what you guys did.
Can you hear me?
Any questions?
Yeah.
Everybody know what the homework assignment is? If you leave your shields here and if you leave them so they're not folded up, then the stuff they spray gets on both sides of them. Not that we're really passing COVID around, but
She goes on me.
okay, that's okay. Yeah, you can give those to the people. I'll take your and put them in your binder. Have a wonderful afternoon. I'll be starring in my own homeroom or open house video shortly here. Woohoo! Oh, thank you. Yep, that's great. Have a good day, folks. Bye-bye. Yeah, just stick it right in there. Yep, that's good. No, I'll collect it eventually. Yeah. In fact, I don't really care how much more because I'll know what things tomorrow you'll have a chance to redeem yourself. See you later. Hey, Lily. Oh, Lily's got, oh. I can let you know what your group got. What did you get?
We got 15.
You got a 2 out of 4, so that's a 15 out of 20. And I don't exactly know why now, but I can tell you tomorrow. But it's only 10% of your grade, so it's not a huge deal. All right, have a good afternoon. Bye-bye. If they do it on a like, as long as they don't force anybody to have to do it that way.
I'm gonna look at the parents and they're not gonna have that.
They're gonna be in meetings and,
Yeah. So,
I hope not, but.
I just feel like.
Are they okay?
Well, hang on, let me make sure that,
This is what I really feel like.
okay, don't say anything yet.
I got another COVID kit today that sits right by my desk. My desk is haunted. I had